I'm Xiaoting Ho Jones from Doughnut Economics Action Lab. In this video, we'll explore whether and how economies can avoid becoming structurally dependent on endless GDP growth, which is, in effect, the existential economic question of our times. In the 20th century, GDP turned into the overarching target of economic policy, so much so that governments, businesses, and financial markets came to expect, demand, and depend on it never ending, even in the world's richest countries. But by following this endless GDP growth path, no country currently meets the needs of all its people within the means of the living planet. And high-income countries' growth paths provide cautionary tales for the rest of the world. The history of high-income countries' GDP growth is linked with high ecological footprints and massive overshoot of planetary boundaries. Such high ecological footprints carry high economic and social costs for residents of those countries. For example, chemical, air, and water pollution, job losses, and social instability when transitioning out of polluting industries. And they have profound impact on the rest of the world. For example, climate change impacts, extraction of natural resources, and the relocation of polluting industries through global supply chains. The pursuit of endless GDP growth has also failed to deliver many of the social benefits it promised. Globally, the richest 10% of people hold 54% of the total global income and 74% of total global wealth today. Between 2000 and 2024, the top 1% alone seized a staggering 41% of all new wealth created, while the bottom half of humanity received a mere 1%. This begs the question, who truly benefits from this pursuit of endless growth? Globally, many countries seem to be stuck with economies that need to grow, whether or not it makes people thrive. What's needed are economies that enable people to thrive, whether or not they grow. So how did we get here? The challenge is that, thanks to over a century of cheap fossil fuel energy, many nations' economies have come to expect, demand, and structurally depend upon year-on-year GDP growth, financially, politically, and socially. Let's start with financial drivers. Most investors' decisions revolve around one question: what's the rate of return? This drives speculative trading and relentless pressure on businesses to expand. Businesses designed to be accountable primarily to their investors face constant pressure to deliver increasing returns. Many businesses also must reinvest and grow to survive, innovate, and stay competitive. Workers depend on growth too. In a growing economy, if technology displaces you, you may find a job in other expanding sectors. But when growth slows, unemployment often rises as technology replaces humans faster than new jobs appear. In many countries deprived of other means to meet their care needs, retirees need their pension funds to grow significantly, and an endless growing economy offers more dependable opportunities for their investments. And governments unwilling or unable to redesign fiscal and monetary policies, such as making taxation systems more just, depend on continuous growth to fund public services and repay debt. There are political drivers of growth too. Larger economies wield more geopolitical power in political negotiations, in global markets, and in military aggression. Nations therefore feel compelled to keep up with each other's growth. In addition, our current extractive systems socialize costs while privatizing profits, with more wealth being captured privately and the social and ecological costs pushed onto the public. Governments must grow the economy just to have enough spending power to address the damages done. If they can't, voters may punish them, and societal unrest and division can become more acute. The end result often is that policymakers feel compelled to prioritize GDP growth to maintain stability, even when pursuing it can create the very instability they are trying to prevent. They are also social drivers of growth. 100 years of consumerist propaganda has encouraged people to seek status, meaning, and pleasure through buying more stuff, locking people into the continual pursuit of consumer spending. And the wealth owners capture political, legal, and media systems to influence policies and public discourse, perpetuating this cycle. But here's what can give us hope. As we better understand these growth dependencies, we can see they are not inevitable. Growth dependencies are a product of political, financial, and social constructs that emerged over the last century, which means they can be redesigned. This is a grand challenge for policymakers in the 21st century to chart different economic development pathways to meet the needs of all people within the means of our living planet. Every nation has an opportunity to transform and lead. Policymakers in high-income countries need to be visionary enough to reimagine progress, reflect on their country's historical, social, and ecological footprints and global responsibilities. At the same time, policymakers in the majority world can demonstrate greater confidence in their own cultures, voices, and economic visions. Throughout our web-based policymaker guide, we explore how governments can pursue these diverse pathways through changing the goal of the economy, enabling an embedded economy, nurturing human nature, thinking in systems, and designing economies that are distributive and regenerative by design. We hope these new ways of thinking, along with the many examples of government action in our web-based policymaker guide, can provide you with fruitful thoughts and inspirations on your journey to create economies that make us thrive, whether or not they grow.